Fractions, Part 1. In today's lesson, students will learn how to add fractions with a common denominator. Fractions with what? Very good. Now, although all of you have learned fractions at some point in elementary school, everybody, including almost all the kids at Hollingcrest, have forgotten how to do fractions. So what we need to do is we need to do a basic skill boot camp on fractions. You're going to be the best at working with operations with fractions. So we're going to go ahead and review. Now, remember we saw fractions when we were solving equations. So now we're just going to look at fractions themselves. A fraction is a part of a whole, okay? So it's not a whole number and it's not an integer, okay? It's a special type of number that has a part of a whole. Okay, so for example, how would you read this fraction? It says 1 divided by 4, doesn't it? 1 divided by 4. That means 1 out of 4 parts. So if we took a whole, most often we represent this with a circle, okay? If we draw a circle, 1/4 means we're going to cut it into this many parts. How many parts are at the bottom? There's how many parts? 4 parts. So take that circle or that pie and let's cut it into 4 pieces. So we can cut it down the middle. Now it's in 2 pieces. And then, so we cut it in half, let's cut it in half again. Okay, now we have a whole that is divided into 4 parts. Okay, how many parts are we talking about? How many parts? Just 1, right? Just 1. So you would represent this by shading in 1 part out of 4 parts. And this fraction is called 1/4. For example, I ate 1/4 of the pizza. I was very hungry. But the 1 and the 4 have very special names. Now let's talk about the 1. That's the top number, right? The top number. So we're going to write the top number is called, anybody know what it's called? Anybody know? It's the numerator. It's the what? The numerator. Numerator. So the numerator, or the top number, is the number of shaded parts. Okay, shaded. So it refers to how many slices are shaded in or colored, or how many slices you eat, right? This means I ate 1 out of 4, right? I shaded 1 out of 4. So that's the numerator. Now the bottom number is 4, right? We call this fourths. The bottom number is called the, anybody know what this bottom number is called? It's called the denominator. It's called the what? Denominator. Okay, denominator, get that down. The denominator is how many parts. Another word for parts is pieces. The whole is cut into. So for example, I told you that we cut this pizza into how many pieces or how many parts? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's cut in 4. I only shaded 1. So this means 1 out of 4, or 1 divided by 4. We call this fraction 1/4. We call it what? 1/4. Very good. Now we're all going to have some practice drawing and shading fractions, okay? But what we're focused on today is adding fractions. Okay, So to add fractions, what you need to do first, let's take a look at these fractions, okay? We call this 2/8 plus 4/8. All right, 2/8 plus 4/8. So why don't we go ahead, I'm going to draw it down here real quick, okay? Let's just draw these fractions. 2/8. So if we have 2/8, how many pieces is this pizza? Now we're going to have two pizzas, okay? How many pieces will this pizza be cut into? What do you think? It's going to be 8, right? So we're going to first we're going to cut it in fourths. Then we're going to make some diagonal cuts here. So let's cut here, cut that in half. Let's cut here. All right. So that is a pizza that's cut into eighths. All right. How many pieces will it are going to be shaded here? How many pieces? How many out of 8? You're going to have 2 out of 8, right? So you can have 1, 2. This is 2/8. You agree? 2/8. Now we're going to add 4/8 to it. All right. So let's go ahead and draw another pizza. Cut it into how many parts? How many pieces is it cut into? It's cut into 8. So let's practice again. Let's cut it in half. That's halves. That's fourths. See? Now let's cut it into eighths. The way you do that is by making some diagonal cuts right here in the middle. And then let's make a diagonal that goes down. Now we have eighths. How many pieces are going to be shaded? You're going to have 4, right? So we're going to shade 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right. So now, is 4/8 the same as 1/2? Is this half the pizza? Totally. Okay. So basically, if you were to add these fractions together, remember, when you're adding fractions, you always want to add fractions that are the same size. So they're both eighths, right? The slices of pizza are the same size. Would you say they're the same size? Okay. So in order to add fractions, the first thing you need to do is add the numerators, which is on the numbers on top, but you're going to keep the denominators the same. Okay, so here we go. Add the numerators, keep the denominators the same. So this is eighths and this is eighths. So if you were to add these slices together, are these still eighths? They're slices of eighths? They're the same size, right? Okay, they are. So you have to keep the denominator the same. Keep the bottom number the same. Do not say that 8 plus 8 is 16, because these slices are not cut into 16. So what number do you think should go here if you add these together? They're eighths, right? You're keeping the denominator the same. They're still in eighths. But let's count the shaded parts. Let's count the numerator. Let's say 2, 1, 2. And let's keep adding, count up, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. 6. So this gives you 6/8. All right, 6/8. Now, 6/8 can be simplified. Okay, who's heard that word, simplified? Because 6 and 8 could both be divided by a number to make the fraction look smaller. 6/8. Okay, 6/8. So can you think what you could divide 6 and 8 by? You could divide it by the same number. Are they both even numbers? Is 6 and 8 even? Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8. Are they even? Yes. So if they're even, you can divide by 2. You can do what? Divide by 2. So I'm going to put a division sign here. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. Are you with me? Then put 2 equal signs. Now it's going to give you a new fraction, okay? A fraction that is simplified, but they're really the same fraction. Think about it. What's 6 divided by 2? 6 divided by 2 is, what is it? It's 3. Okay. What's 8 divided by 2? 8 divided by 2. Skip count by 2 to get to 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. That's right. Okay. So, simplified, this fraction is 3/4. Okay, it's 3/4. Go ahead and get that down. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add fractions, and these fractions have a common denominator. Common denominator, that means they're the same. So what's the denominator here? It's 4, and what's the denominator here? It's 4. So you can go ahead and add these fractions by just adding the numerators and keeping the denominator the same. Repeat after me. Say, add the numerators, keep the denominator the same. Okay, that's when they both have a common denominator. So read these with me. It says 1/4 plus, repeat after me, 1/4 plus 2/4. Okay, so the simple way to do this, like I said, if the denominators are the same, I want you to go ahead and keep the denominator the same. If this is 4 and this is 4, if you're adding fourths, 4 and 4, they're going to be same, same, same. Say it. Same, same, same. So it's going to be fourths. Okay? But we can add the shaded parts. 1 plus 2 is what? 1 plus 2 is 3. So let's draw and show how this is true. You are familiar with fourths because that was in your example, okay? So we have 2 fractions, 2 parts of a whole. We're going to cut this in fourths, and we're going to cut this in fourths. Now, how many are going to be shaded on this one? It's 1/4, right? Only 1. So this is 1/4 plus, how many fourths here? 2/4, right? 2 out of 4. So we're going to say 1, 2. Now, I'm going to extend this a little bit. That, if we add those pieces and we take them off of those, if we take them off, 1, 2, 3, and we put them on here, okay? 1, 2, 3. Over here now, let's shade 1, 2, 3. Okay, is this 3/4? Is this 3/4? Yes. Is the answer 3/4? Yes. So, just because you are adding fourths does not mean that 4 plus 4 is 8, because we don't get eighths, okay? We are only adding fourths, so because they have a common denominator, we can go ahead and just add the numerators together and keep the denominator the same.